In the scorching desert heat, even the wind felt like fire. Officers had been searching for a missing 7-year-old girl for nearly 18 hours, and hope was fading fast. Drones scanned empty roads. Helicopters circled above the cracked earth. Every minute felt like another step closer to tragedy. But then two police dogs, Rex and Shadow, suddenly stopped dead in their tracks. Their ears shot up, their noses twitched. "Do you smell something?" an officer asked. But the dogs didn't answer. They ran. They sprinted straight across the desert. "Where are they going?" an officer shouted, running after them. No one knew. Their handlers chased them, shouting and stumbling until the dogs suddenly erupted into frantic barks. And what they discovered just beyond that cactus, no one was emotionally prepared for. A little girl tied tightly to a cactus, ropes digging into her arms, her face streaked with dirt and dried blood. What happened next shocked everyone. Before we start, make sure to hit like, share, and subscribe. And really, I'm curious, where are you watching from? Drop your country name in the comments. I love seeing how far our stories travel. The desert sun had barely risen when the call came in. A 7-year-old girl named Emma had vanished near a hiking trail behind her family's small home. Her mother said she was outside, playing with her dolls 1 minute and gone the next. No footprints, no noise, no signs of struggle, just silence. Officers arrived within minutes, fanning out across the dry landscape. The heat was already climbing, waves of sunlight blurring the horizon. Every second mattered. Emma was young, scared, and without water. Her father stood near the patrol cars, trembling, clutching the little pink backpack she always carried. "Please," he whispered to the officers, "find my daughter." Drones buzzed overhead. Helicopters swept low across the dusty ground. Dozens of volunteers joined the search, calling Emma's name into the empty wind. But after 8 long hours, hope began to fade. That's when the K-9 unit arrived. Rex and Shadow, two of the department's most skilled police dogs, leapt from the vehicle, noses immediately to the ground. Their handlers exchanged tense glances. If anyone could find Emma alive, it was these dogs. And within moments, Rex froze, nose twitching, eyes locked on a direction no one had searched yet. Everything was about to change. Rex lowered his head first, inhaling sharply. His ears shot up, tail rigid, muscles tightening like a coiled spring. Shadow followed, sniffing the same patch of desert dirt before letting out a low, warning growl. Their handlers exchanged looks. This wasn't normal tracking behavior. This was something darker. "Easy, boy. What do you smell?" Officer Grant whispered, gripping Rex's harness. The dogs began moving, slow at first, then faster, pulling the officers toward a narrow, rocky path no one had considered searching. The wind shifted, carrying with it a faint, disturbing scent. Sweat, rope fibers, and something else they couldn't identify. Rex suddenly barked, one sharp, urgent sound that echoed across the empty desert. Shadow pressed his nose to the ground, again pawing at a disturbed patch of sand. "Grant," one officer said quietly, "this wasn't an accident. Someone brought her out here. The temperature climbed brutally, but the dogs pushed forward, noses twitching with laser focus. Every few feet, Rex would stop, sniff and growl, almost as if warning the team that they were getting closer to something they weren't prepared to face. Then both dogs froze, tails stiff, ears locked, bodies trembling with alert tension. They had found the trail, and it was fresh. Rex suddenly broke into a sprint, kicking up clouds of dust behind him. Shadow stayed close, barking fiercely as if signaling the officers to hurry. Their handlers ran after them, hearts pounding, adrenaline surging with every step. Rex, Shadow, slow down, Officer Grant shouted, but the dogs didn't listen. They knew. Moments later, Rex skidded to a stop beside a towering cactus. Shadow stopped, too, growling, circling something hidden behind the thick spines. Grant rushed forward, then froze. There, tied to the cactus with rough rope digging into her tiny arms, sat Emma. Her face was scratched, with dirt, eyes wide with shock. Her lips trembled, but no sound came out. She was too dehydrated, too weak, too scared. Emma, Grant whispered, dropping to his knees. The little girl blinked slowly, recognizing the uniform, the badge, the safety she had prayed for all night. Rex lowered his head and gently nudged her leg, whining softly. Emma swallowed, forcing out a broken whisper. He said he'd come back. The officer stiffened. Someone had tied her there. Someone was planning to return, and they might still be nearby. Emma's breathing trembled as officers gently loosened the ropes from around her bruised arms. Grant wrapped his jacket around her shoulders, but her eyes kept darting toward the desert trail behind them like she feared someone could appear at any moment. Emma, Grant said softly, "Who did this to you?" Her voice cracked. "A man. He said he knew my dad. He told me to follow him. But when I got scared, he tied me here." Rex growled, low, ears twisting toward the distant ridge. Shadow mirrored him, muscles tight, noses lifted to the wind. Both dogs stared in the same direction, their bodies responding to a scent the humans couldn't detect. Grant's stomach tightened. They're sensing something. Another officer examined the ground. Footprints fresh. He pointed to a series of boot impressions heading away from the cactus, heavy, rushed, and recent. And tire tracks, another added, crouching beside a shallow groove in the sand. He didn't walk here. He drove. Emma's eyes filled with tears. He said, "If I screamed, he'd come back." Grant stood, every muscle in his body tensing. He didn't expect us to find her this fast. Rex barked sharply once. A warning. And a signal. The kidnapper wasn't gone. He was close. Rex's bark sliced through the desert silence like a warning siren. Shadow lunged forward next, nose to the ground, pulling hard toward the ridge. Grant didn't question it. Not now. Go. Follow them, he shouted. The officers sprinted after the Kinses as they tore across the desert floor, weaving between boulders and thorny shrubs. The heat shimmered around them, but the dogs didn't slow. They had locked on to the scent. Fear, sweat, and something metallic. There, an officer yelled. A figure appeared in the distance, hunched beside a dusty off-road vehicle, struggling to start the engine. He glanced back and froze when he saw the dogs charging toward him. "Stop! Police!" Grant shouted. The man bolted, but he didn't get far. Rex launched, first slamming into the suspect's legs, and sending him crashing into the dirt. Shadow was on him a second later, teeth bared, pinning him down with a deep, bones-shaking growl. "Don't move," Grant roared, snapping cuffs around the man's wrists. The kidnapper's face twisted, with panic. "I wasn't going to hurt her." Grant's jaw tightened. "You left a 7-year-old child tied up in the desert." The suspect said nothing but Rex growled again, as if reminding him. The truth was no longer his to hide. Emma was wrapped in blankets as officers carried her out of the desert. Rex and Shadow walking protectively beside the stretcher. The moment they reached the main road, Emma's mother sprinted toward her, collapsing to her knees with a cry that echoed across the sand. "Emma! Baby! Oh my God!" Emma reached out weakly as her mother's arms enveloped her. Her father joined them, tears streaming down his face as he kissed her forehead again and again. "We thought we lost you. We thought." Rex nudged Emma's hand gently, and she smiled through her exhaustion. "They saved me," she whispered. Rex and Shadow news spread quickly. Neighbors, reporters, and officials gathered as the ambulance prepared to leave. Everyone stood in stunned silence as the chief addressed the crowd. These 2 police dogs did what no drone, no helicopter, no team could do. They found her alive. Applause broke out, loud, emotional, overwhelming. People cried. Officers saluted. The dog stood tall, chest out, tail still. Later that evening the department held an emergency ceremony. Rex and Shadow received medals for bravery while Emma watched proudly from her hospital bed. That night, across the entire town, one truth echoed. 2 dogs didn't just find a little girl. They saved her life and changed